Hello, my friends. I'm here in the Columbia River Gorge with my family. We've actually come here for the summer to prepare for the birth portal and to welcome our daughter into this world and have a moment to make a video. I wanted to speak about the upcoming movement of Mars in Taurus and what I see that symbolizes, especially because we're in a balsamic phase, the final phase before a conjunction between Mars and Uranus. And we have at the end of July, early August, very, very potent conjunction with Uranus in the North Node. I'll be speaking more about that Uranus North Node conjunction soon in a future video. We can think of this as an introduction to it. Mars is always leading the way. It's saying, go here, do this. Here's where choices are needing to be made. And thus it reflects our growing understanding of what our purpose is, what it is we want, what we are choosing reflects that which we're wanting out of life, right? We're directing our life force. And always what we want points back to who we think we are. An identity, a self, wants things. Every identity construct will instigate life experience, will have a unique perspective on life according to who it thinks it is and what it thinks it needs. So Mars is always really essential. And when we have really big alignments like the Uranus North Node, it's actually really helpful to see where Mars falls into that, any transit. If we understand that Mars is the leading edge of evolution, as Jeff Green often spoke to, it's the next step, the next choice, opening the door to the next realm of human experience. It's very helpful to understand anything with Mars added into the picture. So let's talk about where Mars is coming from briefly, and then where Mars is going into Taurus, and speak about this in context with the conjunction that it's moving towards at the end of July. We can say June in many ways was characterized by a lot of powerful, quick, new choices. Mars was with Jupiter, Chiron, it's squaring Pluto right now. For the most part, archetypally at least, it was sextile Mercury and Gemini. Both of them actually were kind of in Gemini and in Aries for pretty much the same amount of time. This is a lot of options, a lot of choices, a lot of conversations, not knowing where it's going, but just kind of engaging with the next step, right? Just take the next step, research, call, look for the information, explore the field, look at the map, and see where it's going, and then connect with what's my purpose, what's my plan, what's my intention. A lot of radically new choices and decisions, cardinal turning points rather, not necessarily radical, but maybe surprising, but expansive and new and exciting as well. And what happens with strong Mars energy, we make the choice, we go somewhere new, and then it opens a whole realm of life experience. Like, you know, we moved our family up here this summer, which was sort of somewhat of we had an intuition that there was a movement up here. But we just explored the next thought, the next idea, the next conversation, and just led to making this choice. But we couldn't predict what making this choice would be. And all the different learnings and experiences and challenges and adjustments and new opportunities that have opened up for us and for those around us as a result of this. That's what Mars does, especially in Aries. It's very random and instinctive and new. You don't know where it's going. So let's look at the transits right now. What's really cool about this is we have Mars in Taurus and Mercury in Cancer entering pretty much the same time. Coming from all that very strong masculine, yang, new choices, new decisions, new actions, new possibilities, lots of what are we going to do with Mars in Aries. This is much more of a grounding, bringing it within. This sextile and the movement of Mars into Taurus sort of opens up this new field, this new experience of consolidating, bringing the energy in, focusing a lot more on what do we need? What do we need to sustain life? What's the information? What are the skills? What's relevant and necessary? What are the questions to be asking that can really sustain and preserve that which I value most? So we're wanting to ground and simplify immensely as Mars enters Taurus. What's interesting about Mars and Taurus, Mars is instinctive and raw anywhere and everywhere. In Taurus, it's really focusing on survival. And sometimes we develop greater strength, greater capacity when we're faced with necessity, right? Imagine being out there in the world and you have to hunt, you have to figure things out. If we're not instigated to make things work, to figure it out, we may not develop and realize the extent of our resourcefulness. And I think this is a big part of the Mars and Taurus transit, realizing our capacity for self-leadership, for strength, for choice making, and to figure it out. We are resourceful, we can make it work. Now, moving into this Uranus North Node conjunction, we can see in this chart here, Mars is in Taurus, second house, moving towards this Uranus North Node conjunction. It's just 17 degrees away. By the very end of July, and we'll progress it forward right now so you can see this. I'll just move it a few weeks. Move it one more week. There you go. Very end of July, early August, they're all at 18 degrees. So we're moving to a very powerful meeting of these 3 points. Uranus is about the intelligence of life. It's the intelligence of the algorithm set in motion. And we oftentimes don't understand the underlying intelligence behind life experience. Imagine when we meet someone, right? We might feel an attraction or a repulsion. We're not aware of the deeper threads of karmic reality underneath. And all the different dynamics that are emerging, we see it happening in time and space sequentially, right? But we lack the appreciation that the dynamics emerging are archetypally relevant and resonant with a thread of past life dynamics that all share the same archetypal pieces that are yet unresolved. Things repeat and remanifest in time, but it shares the same essence that is, in a sense, timeless. Things continue to unfold in time, but the archetypal pieces, they repeat themselves. And when we understand the intelligence, the matrix, the archetypal energy behind life experience, we can really understand that things aren't as personal as they seem to be. We can often sense with strong Uranus transits that there's something emerging. Something is coming together that's built into the design of life. We can bring a lot of fear into that because very often we've met experience with our conditioning. We try to hold on to the past. We try to hold on to our security. We are afraid of what we might lose. And that's why Uranus often brings a lot of shocks and surprises. We have life doing what it does, bringing all of the pieces together in their own natural way. But if we're holding on to our conditioning, our conditioned ideas of what is, that can feel very threatening. So Mars in Taurus moving towards this conjunction, considering it's in the balsamic phase, so there's a completion happening right now. The sense of fear around resources. Will I have what I need? Do we have what it takes? And in a more existential sense, do I love my life? Do I feel connected with my deepest values? What's being called for here is not just the skillfulness to grow a garden, rather the skillfulness to recognize that we're actually a part of a forest. We're a part of an ecosystem. And your skills and my skills and life itself is interrelated. If we're willing, it's sort of two things. If we're willing on the one hand to walk it alone, from the point of view of not trying to fit into the precedent, not trying to fit into what we've known or how other people live, to really be willing to connect with what do I want? What excites me? What brings me joy? What's really calling me forward right now? That brings us into resonance with a field of much greater possibilities, more resources that we can share with others, that others can share with us. And then two, if we're also willing to not go alone, to recognize there's no alone here. We're sharing, we're part of an ecosystem that is not of our own making. It's built into life itself, and we're inseparable from it. The ecosystem is a great metaphor because in an ecosystem, all the different species, from the trees, the plants, the birds, the bugs, the bees, everything are all so interrelated in this greater matrix that works together. You know, people that study ecosystems, what do? They observe it over long periods of time and they see the patterns. This is a Uranian thing. You could observe the patterns in the intelligence of life and you can understand where it's going. The more we sit back and observe, the more we can appreciate, okay, things are maybe shaking up right now, but we can sense, right, if we're just watching from a clear mind, that what's coming together is an organization that's a lot more intelligent, a lot more evolved, a lot more resonant with life itself. And Uranus is always about giving and sharing and including. So wherever there are survival struggles going on right now, whether it's like this sense of I need to preserve and hold on and protect what I got, or a sense of how am I going to get what I need, this Mars and Taurus is both strengthening us, calling us forward to really trust. What are your gifts? What are your resources? What is it that you love? This is a great calling. The energy is ripe to really trust ourselves, but also to there is something much greater and more inclusive, more holistic to life itself that's a part of this unfolding than we might actually understand. And thus, to not be afraid to risk it, to not be afraid to really connect with our individuality. This transit and what's unfolding throughout the month of July is calling us to appreciate our individuality, not our personality, not our conditioned ideas or beliefs, that our soul individuality fits into a greater matrix of interconnectivity. And there is a unique quality and beingness to who we are as a soul that wants to share and give of itself. Taurus is all about the flow of resources and energy. It's not just about survival in a vacuum, because all resources have to be given. If you don't give, if you don't share, it stagnates. Look at life. I'm looking at forests all around me. Everything in life has to also give of itself. So it can, Scorpio polarity, regenerate, resources can be used, and something new can be born as well. I mean, the flower gives its nectar, its pollen. Bees share of that, and the flower needs that for pollination. Flower gives its nectar, and then the bees help in the pollination. And the bees take that, and that sustains the bee's life. Everything is so intricately interconnected. If we understand who we are as an individual soul, we plug into that. If we're trying to fit into something that we think we should be, it's kind of like the flower trying to be something else, or the bee trying to be something else. But if it can just be itself, it'll find the flower. And it's so spontaneous, like it's self-emergent. That's what's happening right now. So the blessing, the prayer, and the orientation is we're stronger than we think we are. And it's a we thing. What's emerging is really relevant and exciting for just the blossoming of our essential nature and what really fits for us. And where things feel shaky or insecure, the insecurity can be really strong, or like this, the stability of our life and what we've known. But we have to ask ourselves the question, am I happy? Am I enjoying this? Is this really what I want? Is it joyful? Do not be afraid of insecurity, and do not be afraid of change during this time, because it's actually leading us towards a new dimension of stability and sustenance and survival and joy that we would otherwise suppress if we're just trying to keep everything the way it is, but suppressing our greater joy. So this is what I see throughout the month of July. It's going to be very interesting. I'll share some more videos in the upcoming weeks as I have the moment to do so on the actual Uranus North Node conjunction. Quick reminder that enrollment is open for the chart interpretation course. This is open only to students who have either studied with me in the Essentials course, or any beginner's course in the past, or another evolutionary astrologer in the lineage of Jeffrey Wolf Green, or those who have studied more extensively in the EA lineage. If you feel this is for you, check it out in the description below. You can apply, and we'll likely have a little interview just to feel in, to make sure that we're all on the same page, that you're on the same page with my students who have already been studying with me since late February of this year. So check that out in the description below. Thank you for watching.